Today we're going to be doing another quotes and coffee chat. Yes, I do have my dog Gracie here, so she's going to be hanging out for the video, and I got my coffee cup here, and yes, I did use this coffee cup for my last quotes and coffee video, but I thought that it was really appropriate. I was considering using a different mug because I have quite a few of them, but I really thought that this was appropriate. It says a cup of gratitude, and I thought that it was really appropriate for what I'm going to be talking about because today we're going to be chatting about jealousy. And this is typically a topic that most people don't like to talk about because it's really uncomfortable, and most of us recoil from that topic because, we think, not me, I'm not jealous, but let's be honest, you are jealous, I'm jealous, we all get jealous at times of our fellow writers, of our friends, of our CPs, of just anybody in the community, of authors, people who are signed with agents. We see people, especially on social media, who are getting book deals and, they're taking all these steps in their journey, and you might be stuck somewhere or feeling like you're stagnant and not getting anywhere, feeling really discouraged about yourself, and that's normal. And we're going to talk today about how you can really address the issue of your jealousy and get over it, because it's been something that's kind of coming, flickering in and out of my life and my journey right now, is just a little bit of jealousy, and it's not something that is super overwhelming, but it definitely, like I said, has kind of flickered in and out. And I'm going to be really honest with you guys. This is going to be a super honest chat because that's really what I want these quotes and coffee chats to be. It's just really personal and honest, and hopefully something relatable to you guys. Some of these really difficult topics that people don't like to talk about very much, and I want to address them because I think that it's important to know that you guys aren't alone and to know how you can go about addressing some of these difficult things that you face in your journey. So today we're going to be dealing with jealousy, and let's jump in and get started. Alrighty, so first up is today's theme quote for the video, and that is, "You can be the moon and still be jealous of the stars" by Gary Allan. So what does that quote mean, and what does it have to do with this topic of jealousy? So let's kind of break down this quote. So the first part of it is, "You can be the moon," and then the second part is, "and still be jealous of the stars." So let's address that "you can be the moon" part first. Basically what this quote is saying is that you can be a light and you can be shining, which basically to a writer translates to you can be having some really successful milestones in your journey and accomplishing a lot and just doing a lot of really great things and feeling like you're, really succeeding and moving forward in your journey. And yet you can still be jealous of the stars. In other words, you can still be jealous of your fellow writers and, like I mentioned, CPs and authors that you see who are accomplishing these things. And so today I'm going to talk about how to really embrace your moonlight and look at other people's starlight and not be jealous, or at least know how to handle that jealousy whenever it comes around. Because I think that as humans and as people, that's just a natural thing to sometimes feel a little bit of jealousy, and especially as writers, obviously we're really passionate about what we do and we want to succeed, and that's just something that every person wants. If they have a really big dream or passion or goal, of course they want to reach that, and so it can be difficult to see other people who are getting to that stage and you're not, and it can be really discouraging, and that's whenever the jealousy comes. And before you guys ask, there is nothing in this cup. Usually I have coffee in here, but it's kind of late, and so it's kind of late for coffee, but it's for the aesthetic of the quotes and coffee video, so forgive me, but there's not anything left in the cup. It's empty now, so I'm sorry, but I'm still gonna hold it because, again, a cup of gratitude goes really well with this video, so we're gonna go with it. Okay, so moving on, how to embrace your moonlight. One of the things that I, along with 3 other writers, have done, and this is not a shameless plug, I'm not meaning to advertise or anything, it's just to give you an idea, is we've actually started a chat and a hashtag which is called Writers Cheer, and I'll leave all that information down below in the description box. I'm not going to get into it too much because, again, I don't want it to be a shameless plug. This is just a example for you guys, but we started this hashtag Writers Cheer, and it actually has its own Twitter page, and we have a chat on the last Thursday, and basically the idea behind it was to just celebrate writers' milestones, each of our milestones, and celebrate with each other, make new friends, make new writer friends, and, connect and network with each other, and, celebrate even the little things. And, we've had a really great response so far in people sharing their milestones, and it can be something as small as I wrote every day this week, or I wrote 100 words today, or I finished my draft. Whatever they feel is a milestone. I think that's important, of what they feel in their heart is something that they want to be proud of and an accomplishment for them. And that's a really important thing that I want to focus on in this video, is figuring out what is important to you and figuring out what you want to accomplish. Because whenever you put yourself up against another person and you try to compare different goals, it's not going to even out, and that can cause a lot of jealousy and, not disagreement, but it's just not a level playing field. So if you see an author who just signed with an agent, but you're still working on your first draft, and you are already feeling, whoo, almost lost my dog, and you are already feeling, jealous that they already have a contract, again, it's normal to have jealousy, but that isn't on the same playing field because you're not at that stage yet. And again, that's a very controversial thing to say, but that's just how I feel you should be focusing on your goal right now, which is to finish your first draft. And, it'll come in your time. Querying and getting an agent, hopefully, will come in your time. And so I think that it's important to focus on what your current goal is and to go for that. If you're constantly looking super far ahead, you're always going to be chasing a goal that you're never going to be able to get. And I think that it's so important to take the time to stop and really celebrate the milestones that you are accomplishing now. Now, one thing I do want to say is that this can easily translate into arrogance, and I'm not saying that any of you guys are going to be arrogant, but I'm just saying that it's an easy thing as people, again, and as humans, that's the nature of humans. It's very easy for it to translate into this arrogance of constantly celebrating yourself and putting yourself ahead. But the purpose of this video is to talk about the opposite thing with it, which is jealousy, which often is putting yourself down and feeling really jealous of other writers and putting their successes over yours and kind of making your successes diminish into believing that they're not as important. So focus on your goal, and whenever you reach it, celebrate it. We would love to have you on the Writers Cheer hashtag, but if you decide that that's not for you, still do something that makes you happy. Set a goal for yourself and give yourself some kind of reward. It might be going to see a movie that you've been wanting to see, or a new release movie that's coming out. It might be reading a book that you've been really anticipating, because we all know that we have huge TBR piles waiting for us to read, and that could be a reward for you. It could be going out to dinner with a significant other or hanging out with your family. Whatever you personally feel like is a good reward for you and a good motivation. It's really important to reward yourself and to celebrate your successes, because again, that will help you keep motivated. But the thing also with that, as I mentioned, is make sure that you have really good goals for you and try to focus on each step of your journey. Again, this is a huge community and we want to support each other, but whenever you become really fixated on other people's accomplishments and goals, it kind of can really throw off your own momentum, because you're constantly looking at what other people are trying to accomplish instead of focusing on what you want to accomplish. If that makes sense. I hope that it does. But if not, you can always leave questions down below in the comments and I would be so happy to answer them. I think that another really important thing that this quote is trying to say is that even whenever people have it all, so to say, they can still not be content with where they're at, because it can be really easy to let other people's accomplishments mask your own goals and your own blessings. And that's not to say that I don't get jealous, because I'm going to be super honest with you guys and confess something that is really personal and I haven't even shared with the subject of this, because again, it's jealousy and nobody wants to admit to that, and it's really uncomfortable. But whenever I first had my CPs, one thing that's really difficult whenever you have CPs is to realize that a lot of times your CPs have other CPs who are not you. It can be really hard to realize that your CPs have other people who are also reading their work and who are also really important parts of their journey. So as a CP, sometimes you feel like really connected to your CP. Obviously, I love my CPs and we get along so well. They're pretty much like my best writer friends. And sometimes it can be difficult to know that they have other people who love them and support them and are in their corner. And that might sound so awful, because you're probably wondering, Caitlin, why does that make you mad that your CPs who you care about have other people who care about them? But again, it's not like an overwhelming feeling of I wish that they didn't have other people. That's not it at all. I'm so glad that they have that support, and everyone should have as much support as they possibly can, because the writing community is amazing and you need that support. But again, as humans, it can be really easy to fall into this trap of feeling like jealous or bitter or wishing that, you were that only person. Hopefully that makes sense too. Hopefully I'm not the only person who feels that way. I feel like as writers, it's just really easy for us to get jealous of one another whenever we're accomplishing things. And especially on social media, you see people that you follow maybe, or again, like a CP or a really good friend, and then you might see something that they post where they're talking about how much they're so grateful for another person. And for a moment, there goes that flare of jealousy or, bitterness, and it's not a good thing, it's a negative thing, but also please know that a lot of times it's a natural thing. And again, even though it is negative, a lot of us, and probably most of us and or all of us, have experienced it before. But again, hopefully these tips will help you in overcoming it, or at least helping you realize that it is normal, but it's something that we definitely need to work on and hopefully get over. And I've definitely gotten over most of that, because I know that my CPs are such amazing people, and I think whenever you start off with the CP and you haven't really built up that trust and that friendship and that really close bond, it's much easier for those feelings to kind of flare up between you. But by now, my CPs and I are just like best friends, and we trust each other so much. And so I really find myself not feeling like that anymore. But whenever I did start out with my CPs, it definitely occasionally was a feeling that I did experience. And do you guys see Gracie falling asleep? Hey, baby. Oh. Okay, so yeah, sorry for that random little tangent, but getting back to you and Moonlight and your successes and goals, try to stay on track of what you're trying to accomplish and take it step by step. Celebrate your little victories and successes, cheer others on, and that's where we get into the second part, which is you'll still be jealous of the stars. And basically, I love this comparison between moon and the stars, because they're both in the sky and they both create light, and I feel like that's such a good metaphor for writing, because the sky is the writing journey and moon and stars are just two different sources of light, and one is not greater than the other, because the moon and the stars are both absolutely beautiful and they're in the same playing field. And I think that it's a really good concept to try to think about writers as being these two different bodies. Even if you're the moon, you're jealous of the stars. But you know what the crazy thing is that a lot of times the stars are jealous of the moon. And so that's one thing. And a good analogy of this that I found is that right now, like, I have my hair curly, but sometimes you guys will notice that it's straight. Well, it's naturally curly, like actually ringlet curly. And one thing that I found really ironic is that girls with curly hair want straight hair and girls with straight hair want curly hair. And that's pretty much the same thing as the moon and the stars illustration. It seems to be that whenever you have something, you want something else, and whenever you have that other thing, you want the thing that you had. And so with writing, that can be how it is between this whole moon and stars metaphor. That even if you're succeeding and you have these accomplishments, it might feel like it's not good enough up against somebody else's successes and accomplishments. And I think one thing that's super important that you should keep in mind is that this is not a competition. It can be super easy to fall into this trap of thinking that as other people get published, they're pushing you out of the market and that you have less and less of a chance of getting an agent or getting published. After all, isn't there less room for you now? But that's not how it is at all. The publishing industry, the publishing world, and the bookstore is big enough for all of us. So please, please, please don't see it as a competition. You should see it as a big friendship. And yes, a lot of aspects of writing can be slightly competitive whenever you're querying agents. Obviously, agents don't sign every single writer that queries them. But that's not really for a competitive side. It's just that agents can't sign every single client. And I have a whole blog post on that and a whole video upcoming on that as well. So I'm not going to get too much into detail on that, but just remember that this is not a competition. And I think that's important to remember whenever you're thinking about your successes versus other writers' successes, because one thing that can really make jealousy flare is whenever you feel, and I hate to use this word, but almost threatened by other people's successes. And it can almost feel like, again, like a competition of like, aren't they pushing you out? You have less chance now. And that's one more person who snagged an agent, and that's one less client that agent's gonna get. And it can make you think all these, all these thoughts can start stirring up. So that's a whole another thing that can cause those emotions. But I really just want to reinforce that publishing and writing is not a competition. And I would know, because I've thought this before, these are all feelings that I have felt. This is not anything that I'm sharing with you guys that I feel immune to. These are all really personal things that have definitely affected me and have popped into my mind before. And one thing that I want to leave you guys with is that age-old adage which says, do unto others as you have them do unto you. That's a super simple but really, really important concept of remembering that wouldn't you want people to be happy for you and excited for you whenever you succeed? So I think that that's really important to remember, that whenever other people are celebrating and they're accomplishing things, don't view it as a threat or a competition. Be happy for them, celebrate them, and cheer for them, because one day you're going to have your moment, and don't you want people to be there excited and cheering for you as well? Jealousy is normal, but if we have a whole lot of gratitude and we count our blessings, then we can push it out and we can just cheer for each other and remember that we're all friends and we're all on the same journey. Yes, we do succeed and we have different accomplishments at different times, but again, we're all in the same sky and we're all on the same path and we're all going through the same valleys and the same mountains. Again, different ones at different times, but we're all on the same journey. So it's really important to walk together and to lift each other up. It is easy to be jealous of the stars, but we're all lights and we all have our own successes. We should cheer each other on and be happy for each other, because one day you're going to get there and there's going to be people cheering there for you. I believe in you guys. Keep writing, friends, and I'll catch you in my next video. Bye!